For the last 5 years of my life, I have been dedicated to building up an attractive and aesthetic V-taper physique. And I can honestly say that the gym has changed my life forever. It has been one of the biggest, best, most impactful things that I have done as a man. I think that physical training, exercise, pushing yourself, getting stronger is possibly the biggest thing that you can do as a man to improve. Now, most of the time that I've done that, I have spent it in a gym, right? In a weight room with proper weights for resistance training. But a lot of times we don't have access to that, right? Maybe it's because the gym membership is too expensive. Maybe our location doesn't have a gym. But the good news is that you do not need a gym to get jacked. You do not need a gym to build up an attractive physique. Now, I will say that going to an actual gym, even though I started at home doing home workouts, going to an actual gym had me making the most progress. I saw real progress when I went to a gym, to a weight room. It's a bit more tricky to do it without equipment, but it's completely possible. It's a lot cheaper, and some people might like it better, honestly. Now, in my home gym, I have benches, I have dumbbells, but this guide assumes that you have absolutely nothing, no equipment at all. You don't need dumbbells, you don't need benches, you don't need any resistance training equipment at all to follow the steps and routine in this guide to get an aesthetic physique, right? Some equipment that would be good to have if you can find and afford it are just some simple water jugs for some kind of weight, a backpack that you can wear for some resistance during certain exercises, and if you can find it, a pull-up bar. It's just about like $30 on Amazon, super cheap, and you can just hang in your doorway. You can also, for example, put some books in addition to like a water jug in the backpack for resistance. And at the end of this video, I'm going to give you a complete routine to getting an aesthetic physique with no gym and no equipment that you can follow at home or at a park or whatever. To get a big, broad superhero chest without equipment, the best thing that you can do are push-ups. If you can't do a set of normal push-ups, then you can start on your knees instead of your legs straight. And once you find that ordinary push-ups are a bit too easy, you can progress to decline push-ups where you rest your legs up, your legs are kind of propped up on a chair or a couch or bench or something like that. You want to do sets until failure here to really, really, really murder your chest. Just a few sets of push-ups until failure is great for not only your chest, but also your shoulders and your triceps. Now, once sets of push-ups start to become too long before you fail, like you start to get like 30 or 40 reps without failing, that's a good sign that you should add some weight. And so you can take your backpack, strap it on your back, and fill it with certain amounts of books or water jugs with certain amounts of water in them to add some resistance to your push-ups. Switching to decline form or adding the backpack is an example of a progression in calisthenics. For your back and lats, the very best thing that you can do, whether you have a gym or you don't have a gym, is pull-ups. Even when I go to the gym, I normally do pull-ups. It's that good. You should do sets of pull-ups until failure. I like to do kind of a wider grip on the pull-up bar, just to kind of work the lats a little bit better. And that'll give you like a really nice wide back that adds to your V-taper. If you can't do a normal pull-up, then what you can do is stand on something. You can grab the bar at the top, right? Kind of hold yourself in the top position and then slowly lower yourself, and then do that several times until you build up the strength to do full pull-ups, right? And of course, you should add the backpack for resistance with certain amounts of weight. My pull-ups only really started to get better. I only got like past 10 pull-ups once I began adding weight and resistance with, in the gym, it was the weight belt, but in calisthenics, if you don't have any equipment, then the backpack is your best friend. Now, let's say you don't have a pull-up bar. If you don't have a pull-up bar, then you can grab your backpack or anything else that you can comfortably grab and start to do bent over rows, for example. Or maybe if you can find something that's sort of comfortable to lift, you could do deadlifts with something. To work your abs and get a really nice six pack, my favorite thing to do is leg raises on a pull-up bar. So if you just hang from the pull-up bar and then raise your legs straight out, that is the best thing ever. After just like 10 reps, I can feel them burning a lot. I try to go until like 15 or even past that until I fail. If you can't do that, which it is quite difficult, then you can just kind of like raise your knees up to your stomach, and that works your abs as well. And if you don't have a pull-up bar, you can do bicycle crunches for your abs instead. Now for your biceps, you should do sets of chin-ups until failure, really squeezing at the top to feel it in your bicep. Turning the wrists around and the grip around will focus more on the bicep muscles instead of the back muscles. And just like pull-ups, if you add the backpack, that will add more resistance to the movement. So you should be adding more books, more water bottles or water jugs into your backpack as you get stronger with your biceps. And obviously you can curl just like whatever you can grab comfortably if you don't have a pull-up bar. So it could be your backpack, you could curl a water jug, maybe you could curl something like a cinder block. It could be whatever, right? Now for the triceps, you're going to want to do multiple exercises because the triceps are made up of 3 heads. You have the long head, the lateral head, and the medial head. The long head of the tricep is worked best with extension exercises. For example, overhead extensions or skull crushers, while the lateral and the medial heads are worked best with some sort of pushing motion. For example, triceps dips. If you have access to a dumbbell, then overhead extensions with a dumbbell is great for your triceps. But if you don't have that, then obviously you can use something like maybe your backpack or water jug or whatever else. You might have to get creative to do some overhead extensions or skull crushers with whatever the same object is. And do sets of tricep dips on something elevated, for example, a bench or a chair or something like that, maybe your bed. This is one of the best arm exercises in existence, in my opinion. I love them. If you have access to some sort of thing where it's like 2 horizontal bars, for example, you might find one at a park or they're commonly at the gym. That is one of my favorite calisthenics exercises for chest as well. If you lean forward, that works the lower and outer chest. But yeah, dips alone, like they're such a huge tricep exercise. Don't just settle for high rep sets as well. You should be trying to add weight, make it as heavy as possible for your triceps. Now for shoulders. Shoulders are the most important muscle group for aesthetics. Just working shoulders alone, if you have big shoulders, makes your frame look so much bigger. It makes you look more in shape. And if you have, big arms, big chest, whatever, and you have small shoulders, it's just going to look bad no matter what. Shoulders are made up of the anterior, the lateral, and the posterior heads, which is basically front, side, back. And you're gonna wanna try to work all 3 angles. Pike ups are a great calisthenics exercise for shoulders. It's basically just like push-ups, but it targets shoulders. You can also do an overhead press with your backpack or water jug or whatever. And lateral raises are fantastic for making your shoulders look wider. And you can do that with water jugs or maybe some dumbbells if you have them. You can also do front raises for the front of your shoulder. They're kind of like lateral raises, but you swing your arms out to the front instead. And lateral raises and front raises are just fantastic for aesthetics. You're just gonna get like big, massive, juicy shoulders. I don't tend to pay a lot of attention to my rear delts because I think that naturally gets worked with back, but you should definitely do some sets of that every once in a while. And it could just be 1 or 2 sets every workout that you do shoulders. It doesn't have to be a lot per se, it doesn't have to be heavy weight, but you should definitely hit them because that's good for overall like a 3D effect of your shoulders, and it's good for aesthetics and posture as well, which is more important to attractiveness than you think. Neck is a very important muscle group for aesthetics because it doesn't matter how big you are. If you have a small, skinny pencil neck, then you are going to look weak. You're going to look unattractive. It's just the truth. Now I see a lot of stuff online about buying certain equipment or like bands or something like that, but honestly, you don't really need that. And I used to do neck curls. Like I used to do all 4-direction neck curls with a plate and stuff like that, but honestly, I don't like that very much anymore. What I like instead is doing something called manual neck resistance, which is a lot simpler. It's shorter and it's just more convenient, and I feel it better as well. The problem with working neck, trying to fit neck into any routine is like, where do you put it? And then you can't just do like 2 sets because you have to work all 4 angles of the neck, all 4 sides, in order to really get like a big looking neck. With manual neck resistance, you basically just take your hands and press on a certain side of your head, and then you kind of do neck curls in that direction. And I typically do just 1 set for all 4 sides until I can't anymore. It's ordinarily some number like 30, right? It's gonna feel a bit awkward at first, but what you're basically trying to do is create pressure between your palms and your head, and then do the repetitions and keep that pressure on even as you do the repetitions. And keep the pressure consistent. So don't just press hard when you're curling your neck down. Also press hard when you are slowly, extending your neck again, right? So keep the pressure on the negative part of the movement as well as the positive. And it's very important that you do very slow, controlled reps. You also do want to be careful because your neck is a very sensitive muscle. So the nice thing, what I really like about manual neck resistance as opposed to a plate, is that you can control how much pressure you put on your neck, and it's almost always just about as much as you can bear, right? Ordinarily, you're not going to press so hard on your head that your neck can't take it if you're, pressing back with your neck, just because like your body isn't used to doing that. Like you are just used to pressing as much as your muscle can respond. And so you're always going to kind of be working within that range where it's just challenging enough for your neck. But if you do a plate, maybe you accidentally pick up a plate that really is too heavy, and then 1 rep, you kind of hurts your neck. That's not good at all. It's more important than ever during manual neck resistance curls that you take your reps slow and controlled. You focus on the form, you focus on feeling it in the different sides of your neck. This isn't like an ego lift thing, right? When you are targeting a very specific small muscle group like this for aesthetics, it is really just about your mind-muscle connection. To progress this, you will add reps to your sets. So you may start with 10 reps per side and then go up to 12 and then 15 and then 18 and just increase, right? Real quick, if you are serious about getting an aesthetic physique and you are willing to invest in yourself, I'm excited to tell you that my full program is the top link in the description. That is basically all of my experience, everything I know, all of my knowledge put into a single course. It's just hours and hours of me going over information. It's extremely detailed, extremely value-packed, more than I could ever put into a single one of these YouTube videos. And so I would appreciate it if you would just click the link and go check it out and just watch the attached video. Because, if it's for you, then you'll miss out by not checking it out. But obviously, if it doesn't seem like it's for you today, not the right time, I completely understand. You can close that tab and come straight back to this video. Thank you. You should also have big traps if you want a good physique. And to do that, it's very simple. You just shrug something. Could be a dumbbell, could be your backpack with a ton of weight in it, whatever. Just shrug it up and try and hold at the top for like, a count of 1 so that you can really feel it in your traps. And maybe at the end of your set, you hold it at the top. Now for legs, we want to focus on working a couple of different muscles. The quadriceps, the glutes, the hamstrings, and the calves are going to be the main muscles that we work. To start off, you're going to want to do some sort of squat. Now, if you're a beginner that's starting out completely new, bodyweight squats can be enough, but that quickly becomes too light as you get stronger. So maybe you could take your backpack and load it up with a bunch of weight and then strap it real tight on your back and do kind of like back squats with that. Or maybe you could get your backpack or a water jug or something else and hold it while you do goblet squats. Regardless, you're gonna wanna do sets of squats until failure, because squats are, in my opinion, just the very best thing for your legs. Something else that's really good for both your legs and balance are pistol squats. Pistol squats are where you take your leg and you point it straight out, and then with your other leg, you basically just do like a single leg squat. It's extremely difficult, it's very advanced, and so it'll probably take some getting used to before you're able to do it. Remember what I said about progressions though, we can progress this. So the way you start is by getting something that's a bit raised up, maybe it's a chair or whatever else, stand on it with one leg, with the other leg off of it, and then without moving your leg that's off, you just slowly squat down a little bit, right? It doesn't have to be full range of motion, and then you go back up. as you progress, you'll go deeper and deeper and deeper with that single leg. You'll build up the strength, and then you can start like pointing your leg out a little bit more, as well as, if you can, lowering the height of whatever you're standing on until it's solid ground. You want to get at the point where you can do a single leg squat with your one leg pointed straight out, and yeah, you just have perfect balance. And with all of this, you want to do obviously both sides. So you'll do a set on your left leg and then a set on your right leg. Hamstrings really add a lot of size to your legs, and they're very important for not just your leg strength, but also running and sprinting, as well as your posture. A lot of people actually have weak hamstrings and glutes because of, we're all just like sedentary, just like sitting around and shit. What you're gonna do for your hamstrings are single leg Romanian deadlifts with weight. So you're gonna grab a dumbbell or your backpack or a water jug or whatever else. You're going to keep one leg straight, and you are just going to bend down until your wrist just passes past your knee, and then return. You don't have to keep your leg perfectly straight. I recommend looking up good form, but keeping your leg almost straight, kind of like way more stiff than a normal deadlift, will target the hamstrings when you do that hip hinge movement. Box jumps are really good to add for explosivity in your legs. And if you want just the best like leg burn pump ever, you should do Bulgarian split squats. That is basically just putting one leg up on some sort of elevated surface like a couch or a chair or something like that, and then doing a single leg squat with the other one while holding weight. Now, of course, you should progress to weighted Bulgarian split squats as soon as you can, but I found that even unweighted Bulgarian split squats, it just gives me a great leg pump. I can feel it everywhere in my legs, especially after, let's say, like a set of squats. It just really burns out my legs and it feels amazing. For calves, you're going to do some sort of calf raise on any kind of ledge, like a stair. Something really good for your hamstrings and the explosivity of your legs are sprints, right? Sprints work hamstrings really, really well. I mean, as well as the rest of your leg. It's kind of like the purpose of our legs, right? We work it out for looks or whatever, or squatting or whatever, but running and sprinting is one of the most primal uses of our legs. So one of the best ways to grow your legs, and especially to get your hamstrings to burn, are to do sprinting. You can do 4 sets of 20 seconds all-out sprints, and then after that, just do 40 seconds of rest. Of course, you're probably going to have to do this outside at a park somewhere or a track somewhere, but if you can, it's a really good workout for your legs. Your glutes are also really important to work for stability, for posture, but I found that generally I don't have to target them too much because squats kind of already do that if you squeeze your glutes through the movement. But if you feel like your glutes are underactive and maybe like you don't have the mind muscle connection because like we're all sedentary nowadays, we all just like sit behind computers and shit, then you can do glute bridges because that just really helps to like activate them. I'm going to put the entire Aesthetic Body home workout routine on screen right now. You should copy that down somewhere, screenshot it and save it to photos or whatever. And I want you to customize it to really just kind of like fit your preference, right? So I feel like that is the best routine, is the one that kind of matches your preference, your style of working out, what exercises you like to do the most. This is based on the push-pull leg routine. That's my favorite version of any split, but you can obviously modify this to follow upper lower or whatever split you want. The F besides certain exercises means that you should continue until absolute failure every single set after your target number of reps, just to make sure that you are growing every single session. Your actionable step for this video is to copy down that routine and just perform one workout at home with no equipment. Thank you for watching, and this is very important. If you have a question, any question at all, please ask it in the comments and I will respond to it, or I'll make a dedicated video based on your question. This video itself was actually based on a comment that someone else left. And so I hope that you find it valuable. I hope that they found it valuable. But yeah, God bless. Goodbye.